Argonius VR. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here. And today we're going to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix. Yes, today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free movie review of the fourth installment, technically the fifth if you count the Animatrix, in the Matrix franchise, which is the long-awaited sequel to Matrix Revolutions, which is the Matrix Resurrections. I almost said Matrix Revelations. I was just like, then I stopped myself and I was like, what? Anyway, this is the Matrix Resurrections. Time to fly. So, for those of you who didn't already know, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm a huge fan of The Matrix. I always have been, well, ever since I saw the movie. I mean, and even before I saw the movie and actually heard about what the movie was about, I'm just like, that sounds cool. And then I ended up watching it, like, a couple years ago, like, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything it stood for, all its philosophical, psychological, deeper themes, just everything in the movie just pulled me into this virtual world. And the thing about The Matrix is it's very special to me because I can relate to a lot of, like, it's like deeper themes of, like, the meaning of life and everything to my life. It's like, you know, sometimes I actually feel like Neo, like, before he became the one, and you know what I'm saying, like, you're confused. You ever just been really confused, and then, like, you're just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know what's going on here. Like, everybody wants me to do this, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. You know what I'm saying? You ever just, like, been in a situation where you're just like, hold up, there's something behind this that we're not seeing? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe we're living in a virtual world. I don't believe we're living in it. Actually, we kind of are living in a virtual world now, since everybody's always on their phones and stuff. Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, you know, when technology is pretty entertaining. I'm on my phone a lot and stuff. What I meant was, I don't think we're actually living in a simulated world, despite what Elon Musk thinks. Anyway, despite the fact that I've been talking about the first Matrix movie for a lot of this video, I'm not reviewing the first Matrix movie in this video. I'm reviewing the fourth, the fifth, once again if you count the Animatrix. And the Animatrix is canon, by the way, for those of you who didn't already know. So I'm reviewing The Matrix Resurrections, and I actually saw this movie digitally on the day it was released. The reason why I didn't review it was, you know, one, I was busy, and two, I wanted to, like, actually review the previous movies first, and then review The Matrix Resurrections. But, you know, time's short, so I guess I'm going to have to review those movies later and review this movie first because it just came out and I feel like more people are going to watch this video the sooner I upload it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. It actually exceeded my expectations. I had high expectations for this movie. I cannot tell you how many times I have rewatched both of the Matrix Resurrections trailers. Like, I used to just, before the movie came out, like, sometimes I would just play the trailer on loop while I was thinking about things. It became like music for me, you know what I'm saying? I would just listen to it constantly, and I would also watch it constantly, and I would just, sometimes when I was stressed, I'd just pace around, and I know this might sound weird, but I'd listen to both of the trailers, just because it's like, they were so well edited, and I was just excited for the movie, and you know what I'm saying? I was just like, it just kind of both of the trailers just kind of calmed me down when I was stressed, which made me even more hyped for the movie. I was just like, man, this stuff, man, this is pure movie magic. And when we finally got The Matrix Resurrections and I watched it, once again, it exceeded my expectations. I loved it. It was a little bit different. It took a little bit different direction than I expected, but it did take mostly like a direction that I actually kind of thought it would take, and some other people thought it would take. This is actually a very self-aware sequel. It knows what it is. It knows what it's doing, and it knows what people think about it before they see the movie. What people think. It knows generally how people are going to react to the very idea of this movie existing. And that actually makes this movie even better. It adds like a new sense of wit and charm and just cleverness, which is awesome. Keanu Reeves is great as Neo, as always. He's back in the Matrix in this movie, replugged in. And a lot of that stuff is spoiler related, so I can't exactly get into how he's back into the Matrix. And what exactly is going on with him. But I can say that it does make for a very interesting first act. Speaking of the first act is one of the most compelling parts of the movie. Like, not exactly the first act, but the first half. The first half was a little bit more compelling than the second half, although they were both very compelling. The first half was a teensy-weensy bit more compelling, just because, you know, it was just a little bit more gripping due to, like, the whole mystery of, like, what's going on with Neo and the Matrix and, you know, this new, like, these new characters that are, like, kind of, like, like, kind of guiding Neo to one direction, and then these other characters that are kind of trying to guide him in, like, another direction. Speaking of new characters, the new character Bugs in this movie is amazing and terrific. She just knocked it out of the park. Whoever played her knocked it out of the park. She's a great character. She feels like a legitimate character in the Matrix movie. She feels she has a very compelling character arc. She's just a great character, and she was one of my favorites, and she actually gets a lot more screen time than you would expect. Which is awesome and really works. And this movie actually takes quite a few twists and turns in certain directions that you would not expect for this story, but that actually work. And that just made me love this movie even more and want like another Matrix film even more to come after this. And I think they are going to make another Matrix after this, because this movie kind of ended on like a cliffhanger. And if they do, I'm going to be excited for it. Although it's probably going to be like 6 years before we get like the Matrix 5. Or if you want to be technical, the Matrix 6. If you count the Animatrix. Anyway, I know a lot of I know some people did not like this movie. Most people who have seen this movie like this movie. It's got mixed to positive reviews. It's gotten mostly positive reviews from both critics and audiences. But, you know, I know there's some people who just genuinely believe that this film should never have been made. And so are just naturally like, okay, I don't like the idea of this movie, so when I see this movie, I'm going to force myself to not like it. And I feel like that's what actually happened with some people, because there are some people who generally did not like this movie. Not including myself, I loved it. But there are some people who didn't. And, I mean, your opinion is your opinion, but I totally disagree with them. This was awesome, and it was one of the best movies of 2021. Was it as good as the original Matrix? No, it was not. But it was still a perfect movie. There, I said it. And it had amazing special effects, and this new guy who's playing Morpheus, he's great. He gives a very convincing performance. You actually believe he's Morpheus. And this new guy who's playing Smith, he looks and sounds nothing like Hugo Weaving, but you know, you can actually totally tell that this is Agent Smith. This is supposed to be like a reincarnation of Agent Smith, which is awesome. It's awesome, Mr. Anderson. It's awesome. Anyway, references. That line was never in the movie. That line was never in any of the actual movies. I just kind of added the Mr. Anderson after I said it's awesome. Just cause, you know, how in the Matrix movies, like, Agent Smith is always calling Neo Mr. Anderson, because that's technically his name in the Matrix. I just felt like, kind of like, clipping on like a reference to that sentence. I don't know. Anyway, and the action, I know a lot of people are complaining about the action, and yes, the action is kind of different from the action in the other Matrix movies, but it bears enough resemblance that, like, there's no harm done. And plus, it's just, whether or not it's like Matrix action or not, like Matrix style action, it's just good action. And just to be honest, like, the action, in my opinion, doesn't matter for this film as much as the story does. And, you know, the story, both the story and the action, kick ass. And, especially the story. And, you know, so what's the big deal about it? What's the big deal about, like, everybody critiquing this movie and criticizing this movie? I generally just don't understand it. Don't understand a lot of the, disliking from people who've seen this movie. Like, I generally just don't understand where, like, all those negative reviews are coming in. It's not a panned movie. Most people like it. It's gotten mostly positive reviews. I know I already said that, but I feel like I gotta say it again. But it's an amazing movie. So I just don't understand why it doesn't have a higher score, like, on Rotten Tomatoes. It has like a 66 right now, which is a fresh score, so the reviews are mostly positive, but it deserves better. It deserves a better score. And I hope that as more people actually see this movie, more people actually will start to actually review it, and then I think this movie will actually start to gain a better reputation on the internet, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I hope it does. Anyway, I'm going to give this movie a 100% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A+. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.